and welcome. It is week 21 of hashtag Crafty Hope prompts. If you are new here, I'm going to explain that real quick. If you're returning, thank you. If you are on this journey or just watching me, I really appreciate it. Thank you for coming back and seeing what's going on. Basically, I am working on building a prompt deck. So you can see I am altering playing cards with a front and a back. The front is just decorative. The back has 3 prompts on it. So I'm pulling 3 prompts every Monday and altering the cards. And then I'm actually using those prompts again on Saturday with a different project. So this past week I did what did I do? I did an art journal page. I've done junk journal pages, tags, what else? I've made jewelry, I've altered this can, I've done a variety of things. So I've got a whole playlist that'll be at the end of this video that I hope you will check out if you're interested in this. And if this interests you at all and you want to jump in, never mind that I'm on week 21. You go on ahead and start now. Use the prompts that inspire you. You can use the prompts that I draw, or I have a list below in the description box. Just click that. I think there's probably a more button that you'll have to expand the description box, but there you will see links to my full list of 156 prompts. It's in a spreadsheet and you can just print that out and cut them out and use them however you want. I only ask that if you use them, whether it's this year, next year, whenever, you use that hashtag Crafty Hope prompts and tag me at Crafty Hope pretty much everywhere online. That way I can see what you're making with these prompts. All right, guys. It's time to pull week 21's prompts. So let's put up all the previous 20 cards I've made. I can't believe this is going to get any thicker. It's like crazy. I mean, look at that. Crazy. All right, we're going to pull some prompts. Let's see. We are going to start with prompt number 1 is going to be non-dominant hand. So pretty much anybody can do that. All I want you to do, or all I'm going to do, is use my left hand, which is my non-dominant, because I am right-handed, to doodle or draw something or write something, kind of anything. You can use a pen, a pencil, a paintbrush, whatever. Just in some way work with your non-dominant hand. So easy peasy. If you're ambidextrous, I don't know what to tell you. Use your mouth. I don't know. All right, let's see. That is prompt 1. Prompt 2 is going to be Grungeboard or Chipboard. All right, guys, that's really funny because if you just saw my Seek, Gather, Create that I posted on Friday, I'll put a link to that up here. I used some Grungeboard. That was a product from Tim Holtz that was thick like chipboard, but a little more pliable. If you don't have Grungeboard, you can use some kind of chipboard, and that tends to be those little like cutouts that you can find them at the Dollar Tree and stuff like that. The little wooden cutout type things that can be considered chipboard. I know Dee Dee Catron has a bunch of neat little chipboard shapes of things on her Wow Studios. So if you've got any of those kind of things, any of that would count. Little, you know, there are all kinds of things. If you don't have any of that, just some kind of thick cardboard, maybe shape or cut out something that's like a thicker cardboard. Maybe use a cereal box or something like that. Or if you don't like that, use one of the other prompts you haven't used or pull your own this week. So those are just my suggestions. All right, non-dominant hand and Grungeboard chipboard. Whew. All right, prompt 3. Marker. Okay. Was it last week? Yeah, last week we had to use black marker, and I kept trying to bring in other markers, which actually I did. I used a different paint pen on here, but that was specifically black marker. Now I can use any color marker, and that can be a Crayola marker or a China marker, or if you've got colored Sharpies or whatever, just some kind of marker. Easy peasy. All right. I knew the last couple prompts had been pretty easy on me. This might be a little bit harder. So I'm going to go, I guess, grab a couple things and see what we can make with this. Okay, so I've pulled out a couple things. I'm not real sure what I'm going to do at all. So for non-dominant hand, I may just use the markers with my non-dominant hand, but I'm also thinking I might try to write something left-handed. We'll see. Grungeboard and chipboard. So these are some of the options I have. This is the Grungeboard that I have. Like I said, it's a Tim Holtz product. There's lots of different shapes. They are, I don't know if you can see all those. So all kinds of different shapes and letters and things like that. But I also have like these little wood things from the Dollar Tree. I've got flowers. I also have lots of these. I think these are actually maybe from Michael's. Yeah, Recollections. It's a couple of these, and then I've got a bunch of the ones that are from, I think this is Michael's too. Just lots of these different Dollar Tree, what I would consider chipboard pieces. Actually, I really like those. I may use that. So I've got to find something in the owls, y'all. Oh, I may just break down and use one of the owls. So I've got to figure out what of these I want to use. And then, okay, so that's Grungeboard or chipboard. I'm going to pick out something before we come back, or a couple. And then marker. I am sorely liking markers, so I've got some of the distress markers that I might use. Again, that was something I used in my Seek, Gather, Create project last week. But I do have a couple of the Crayola thin markers, and then a bunch of like alcohol-based and illustration markers from Five Below. And that's it for markers. I do have some Sharpies, but they're, yeah. Yeah, they're for other purposes. So I'm likely going to be using some of these others. So I am thinking on this, and I'm going to be, I'll be back in just a second. I went ahead and selected a couple of things, 2 of those like chipboard things, one from the Dollar Tree, one from Michael's, and one Grungeboard piece. So that way I had a nice little variety. Not sure that one from Michael's, I went ahead and cut in half because I thought it might be a nice frame for my prompts. So I cut that in half, and now I'm going to gesso all of them just to give them a nice base. I kind of knew I was probably going to try to color with the markers on these. So I wanted to have a white gessoed base to start. Now I will warn you, if you have these cutouts like this, that gesso is going to get down in those crevices and openings and be a little gunky. Oh, and I also, some of the like burned edges from the laser cutting gunked up or grayed out my white gesso. So I did do 2 coats of white gesso on just one side of all of those pieces, but I'm not going to make y'all watch that. While that was drying, I'm going to go ahead and alter my card with some collage. This is my favorite way to kind of start my card. I put down some collage, that way anything that comes next will have like a good surface to stick to. I've sped this up quite a bit. I am using some matte medium that I recently got. It's like a fluid, but it's a cheap version that I found on Amazon. I'll put a link to it below. I'm enjoying it. I used it in what did I use it in here recently? Did I use it? Yeah, my prompt project this past week. Oh my goodness. So, but I enjoyed it, so I thought, let's see how it does on the card. And it is pretty good. It's just as well as the matte gel, so I don't have to use all my good matte gel on just some collage, so that's nice. Now I've sped this up quite a bit. I'm just putting down lots of layers of paper, book pages for the most part. And I'm liking using that like facial mask spreader and then that scraper tool to just flatten things out. So that has worked out great for me. Once I get all of this down, I'm going to trim the edges. I let the papers kind of go off the side. And so now I'm going to trim the edges off and then take a look at my card. I wasn't digging all of the, I don't know, some of the words on the papers were not things I wanted to show up, so I went ahead and grabbed some more of that gesso that was still in my little palette, and I'll put it down on the card. But y'all, what took me so long to trim this? I don't even know. Sorry, I'm getting way ahead of myself, aren't I? All right, so there's my palette that's got a bunch of that gesso left, and I'm just gonna use a paintbrush to get it down on the card, and then use a credit card to scrape that over the surface, just to, like I said, cover up some of the text that's on there and just give me some nice texture. So I'm going to do this and then dry it.
once I get it spread out, I really like the texture that I get from scraping a card. So I'm going to dry that and then do the same thing again on the other side. Actually, I do both sides twice. I believe that's right, but I'm not going to include that in this video because it's the same process. It's just that once I got it dry, the gesso kind of lightened, I guess. It didn't seem as dark. So yeah, I'm gonna do, yeah, two of them. And then now I am coming in with, this is some kind of ink pen thing from Bria Reese. I believe it's a glitter pen. And I am using my left hand here to make some like telly type marks, you see. Just, and they're not even like true tallies completely because there's more than 5 marks on there. But it's, yeah, I really was enjoying the uh, inaccurateness, I guess, of using my left hand. But when I sprayed this, I just kind of want to see how this ink reacted. And y'all, I lose all of those marks. But I really, really like what came out of this, like a lot. So I go ahead and dry this, and I'm going to come in with my Uniball Signo gel pen in gold and using my left hand do some circles. And y'all, I have to tell y'all, I absolutely love this. I'm totally going to be making more marks and random circles on things with my left hand. These were exactly the weird random marks that I want. I paused it here so y'all can see how awesome those were. I loved that so much. That inky grunginess and the circles were fabulous. So I've brought my little owl back in, and some of those, I don't know if those are the alcohol or the illustration markers, but I'm using the chisel tip side of this purple one, and I don't know why I chose purple. I thought it would go nicely on top of that like black and gold, I suppose. But I went in with like this really dark color, and then I'm going to try a couple other colors. This is like a dark blue, I think. And what I found with using these is that I really like how beautifully these colors like blend together. No matter what order you put them in or whatever, they blend and bleed together just gorgeously. So I definitely want to play with these markers some more. But this whole card, I'm going to tell you, was a struggle bus for me. I don't know, I've cut out a lot of stuff, but this was a tough card for me. And look, y'all, I'm putting this other marker down on top of that, and that yellow went on top of that purple, and you can see the yellow. It's so crazy. I don't know how these work. Um, yeah, and that's it. I never use them, so that's why markers were on my list, is to get me to use some of these things. So, and this was the way I thought that would be best to use it. So you can see I'm doing a couple little finishing touches, and I'm going to look at my owl on top of this grungy side that I'm loving, and I just do not like the owl on it. It, I like that background so much. I didn't want to use it and have it all obscured by the owl. So I think I decided at this point I am going to use those other pieces on that side to put my prompts down. So I flipped this over and decide, okay, well, I've got to get non-dominant hand on this side. What am I going to use? And I break out another brush pen. This one is I believe it's a Pentel Pocket brush pen. And I'm just going to do some lines. And y'all, this was again with my left hand, and this turned out so great. I was kind of thinking it looked like bark that the owl could sit on, like to be in a tree. So that's kind of where I'm going with that. And just making these marks down that card, and they are in no way straight. I was varying like the pressure I put on that pen, since it is a brush. And so the less pressure, the finer point I got, and the more pressure, the thicker it was. So that was fun to play with. Another thing I hardly ever touch. So yeah, that may have to come in my rotation too. So I'm putting that down, and the owl does get a bit lost on it. You can see me like rethinking the coloring, and I'm like, no, let's just see if I can do something else with this. And for some reason, I decided to take that gesso still sitting there with a wet paintbrush and go over the owl with its marker coloring to just lighten it up a little. And I don't don't know. I really like it. Doesn't like once that gesso dries, some of the darker color does come back through. But yeah, it was kind of neat. I don't know, y'all. I was really experimenting with this. Like I said, I had a long ride on the struggle bus for this card. So I've brought out my feel good happy instant coffee, reconstituted it, and am just putting some blottiness and splatters on here before I dry it. I will tell you, I did blot it a little here at the end and did, I don't know. And then I thought I was going to maybe splatter some of this Liquitex gold ink on here. And y'all, that it's time for me to go buy some more. There's almost nothing left in that one. And here I'm going to splatter it on my card, and I stop. And I was like, wait, what if I splattered it on my owl? And that's exactly what I did. And it was the right choice because once this dries, that gold absolutely pops on this. You'll see it a little bit better in the pictures at the end. But yeah, I'm really glad I splattered that gold on my owl and not the card. So I'm going to look at that owl and look at the my background a little bit, trying to decide on placement. And I decided if I'm going to have him up in a tree, he needs to be up and not sitting at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and glue him down. I was looking for that spreader tool. I'm still not sure where it is. It's lost on my desk somewhere. So instead I pull out this like silicone brush thing and brush on my matte gel. And y'all, you know what happened, right? All of that gel is coming through the front of that owl. That was a big problem. Look at that. Oh my goodness. So I'm going to go ahead and stick the owl down and use some clothespins, just like clamps, to hold him down so he doesn't pop back up off the card and the card doesn't distort, not to hold him. And while he's sitting there drying, I go ahead and grab this like teal blue, one of those markers, and color those other two decorative pieces. Now I did color one of the Grungeboard arrows. I'm not going to use it at all. Maybe I'll pull some Grungeboard into my project. We'll see what happens. But I get these colored, and I liked that when I first put that down, the color wasn't super bright, but the more like layers I put on there, the darker the color got. So if you've got markers like this, experiment with them. I really, I almost wanted to add another color on there, and you can see I pulled out like a pinky red, and I thought that's what I was going to use at first, but I went with the color that I felt most comfortable with. So looking at these and what am I going to do next? I decided I wanted to get some of that matte gel out of that owl. So I'm going to use a toothpick and just, now that the matte has like set a little bit, I pulled a bunch of it out, used a towel, wiped it down, and let it set. You see, still trying to get a little bit more of that matte gel out. So yeah, just a toothpick, pulled that out, and then I'm going to think about adding a sentiment of some kind. And y'all, I don't even remember what it says, but it's one of the Tim Holtz small talk stickers. I'm sorry, I can't remember what it says, but I'm going to stick that down, trim the edges first so it fits better on my card because it was just slightly over the length of my card, and add a little bit of ooh-hoo to make sure it sticks. Get that pressed down, and then everything still feels very blended in, so I'm going to go ahead and use that gold gel pen again to go around my sentiment and around my owl. And for now, that's where I'm leaving that side of my card. I'm going to flip it over and start on the other side. I knew at this point how long I was taking on this card. So I pulled out my prompts, and I'm going to go ahead and cut them down so there's not so much excess white on there. And I'm placing these other two chipboard pieces and going to go ahead and glue down with my Oohoo glue stick the prompts. And while I'm doing that, I'm thinking about how thick this card is going to be with those chipboard pieces on both sides. And it's really kind of making me a little batty because initially with these cards in general, I knew I didn't want to make anything too thick. So I decided, let me see if I can peel the backs off of these. And sure enough, these are paper, basically thick paper, and I can peel the backs off. I'm going to see if that works with some of the Dollar Tree ones. I'll try to maybe put a note in the description below if that works or not, if I do get it tried. But it did work with these ones that I got on clearance at Michael's forever ago. So I think the ones from the Dollar Tree, though, are wood and probably won't peel as easily. So I wish I had thought to try that with the Dollar Tree ones beforehand, but like I said, I'll let you know below if it does work. So I'm getting these as thin as I can get them without destroying them. And just using I have got them thin, I'm using that Uhu glue stick. And the second one, I'm going to put the glue stick on the card because I made a huge mess. Got glue everywhere trying to put it on that holy piece of of chipboard. So I will basically just add my number 21 in the top right corner there and finish that side. And y'all, I really love that prompt side a lot more than I love this owl side. I love the owl and all the things I experimented, but it doesn't feel very me. So I grabbed that same purple marker and I'm just going to frame up this card to finish it up. And that is it for the week 21 prompts. All right, guys, I hope you like this. Go out, experiment. Let me know how you would have used these prompts or how you are going to use these prompts. And I will see y'all very soon with my project and all kinds of other stuff. Come back later. Make sure you give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see y'all very soon. Thanks y'all for watching. Bye.